Hi, Alex here from Rebeloper.com and welcome to this new episode of LBTAComponents. And today and tomorrow, because this will be a two-series episode, I will be talking about how this LBTA components data source all works. So we are going to create a UI collection view the easy way. So let's get started. Okay, first of all, let me show you what we will be building today. So I have already created this testing LBTA components magic, and I will build and run and show you what we will be creating today. Here we go. In the previous lesson, I have added my profile picture, my name, and how many posts there are, but all of these were arbitrary. We will learn how to add this, but before we do that, in today's lesson, we are going to create this collection view with these images in them. Those images will be stored on the device. We will talk about how to fetch images from the web in a later episode. But for today, we are going to build out this UI collection view the easy way, and then we are going to add this a large image controller that will show all of these images. Then we are going to build out this large image controller that will show all of these images. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to work. So let me just stop this and minimize it down, and let's open our current project where we have our view controller, and we have anchored our profile image view, our name label, and our post label. We will not be using these today because we are going to use the magic of LBTA components data source structure. So what I'm going to do first is go ahead and create a new file here, a Swift file, and I will call it. So all of these, this new UI collection controller revolves around the idea of one data source. So we have created our user profile DatasourceController because we will build out our user profile. Okay, let us import LBTA components and let's create our class here. And of course it will be user profile DatasourceController. Just copy and paste that here. And the super class will be, of course, DatasourceController. There you go. Okay, let's add our view did load here, and super.view did load. Okay, let's hit Command B and see if everything is building successfully. Okay, now we want to add this data source controller to the views stack. So let's go back to app delegate and let's just create this window manually. So I will just type in window equals UI window. This is plain old stuff. I have a previous video on how to do this on a previous playlist. So we need to make this window key and visible, so make key and visible. And now we need to construct our user profile data source so we may add it to our Windows root view controller. So I type in here let, and I will name this. Okay, and finally let's set our Windows root view controller to this user profile data source controller, and just for the fun of it, let's add here our collection views background color. Let's set it equal to red. Okay, and now let's build and run and see if we actually do have this red background color. Well, the view does load. And there you have it. We do have it. Now we can add, we want to add a navigation controller. So let's go back to app delegate here and let's construct here a nav controller. And that will be of a UI navigation controller and with a root view controller of our user profile data source controller. And now we will feed this nav controller into our Windows root view controller. And notice that we have created our user profile data source controller. It is a UI collection view, but we didn't have to provide the basic usual UI collection view flow layout. And that is the first, if not the first convenience that LBTAComponents gives us. So let's build and run again and see if we do get that navigation nav bar at the top. And there you have it. Here we go. Pretty good stuff. Okay, let's go to our view controller, no, our user profile data source controller, and let's set this to white because that is what we want to have here. Now, next up is with that we want to create, and I will just add here our new class, and just bear with me. You will wrap your head around all of this once I type in the code. So I will just type in here and we will match the pieces all together eventually, finally. So we need to create a data source controller, and now we need to create a data source. Now this is the whole center point of this structure, and of course we will create a data source cells. But for now, let's create our data source. And if we take a look at here, let's just jump to definition here, and you will see that here we have some objects, cell classes, header classes, number of items, and number of sections. We will start off, and of course, let me just scroll down here. We have our item, header item, and footer item. We will start off with our number of sections. So just type in a number of sections and let us just return, let's say 4. Okay, now we need, that is just a simple or overridden function in our data source. This will return 4 cells, well, not 4, the number of items I should have written here. Number of items, okay, 4 items, and let me just see what's wrong with this. Let me just write this again. Number of items, okay, and let's return 4. Okay, next up we need to construct in our data source controller this user profile data source. So let's just add here. Okay, and finally we need to add this to our data source controller's data source. Okay, pretty good, easy stuff. Self.datasource equals user profile data source, and that is it. Now we need to, let's just build and run and see. Well, I believe we will not see anything because now we need to add well, you can see 4 cells here that are near. This is provided basically by LBTAComponents. Now, next up is that we want to provide these data source cells. So let me just go into our user profile data source and let's type in cell classes, and we have an array of cell classes because you can use multiple types of cells. and I will just return here, and it will need to be an array. And before that, we finally create our third class, and that will be our cell class. So let's type in here class. Let me just go and give you some room here so you may see, and that will be our, let's say, that is quite a mouthful, but it explains everything, and it is handy because when you come back in a few months from now to your code, you can really understand what you are talking about here. So this will be of type Datasource cell. Okay, and inside here we have a method called setup views, and let's call super setup views here, and let's add our background color to, let's say, dot and red again. So let's build and run again, and let's see if we actually did manage to render out those 4 cells. And we didn't, because we need to add our user profile data source cell to this array, and let's just append their self. Let's build and run again, and we should get the 4 cells, I believe, fingers crossed. There you go, 4 red cells. Now let's add our the model, and first of all, let's talk about how all of this will be constructed. Well, we will have here posts, and those posts will have images in them. So before we create our data source model, let's add our images inside our assets catalog. We will I have just downloaded these 17 images, and I just added them all here, and they are from this idownloadblog.com. Go ahead and take a look at the source, and there are a lot of cool iPhone 10 wallpapers. Okay, let's go back to our project now. So there you go, we have our 17 images. Now let's go back to our user profile data source controller, and let us construct our post. So I will just go down here and create a new struct, and it will be named post, and let me just go up here, and our fields will be, well, actually the name of our image. So let's add here let, and let's initialize this with our image name. Well, let's create our initializer. It will be of type string self dot image name equals image and name. So now we can construct our post. Let's hit Command B to build this out. Okay, now what do we want to do now? First of all, inside our data source, we want to add our array of posts. So we will create our variable here, and it will be an optional because we don't, well, let's better yet initialize it. It is an array of posts. Okay, good stuff. Now we want to create a function that is triggered when we load our view that will, well, populate our post. So for that, we'll create, let's say, a function here in our user profile data source. That is good for now. So we will fetch our posts, and for that I will just go through each of the images with the for loop and add into our posts array. So let's go over them, and I will just simply create a new post. Let post with our post, let's initialize it with our image name, and if you can recall, they are called image 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. So I will just use here yi, and then I will just simply append this post to our posts array. Okay, now that we have our fetch posts, we want to call it inside our DatasourceController. So user profile datasource.fetch posts. Okay, pretty good stuff. Now let's build and run and see how, well, before we do that, we want to have this number of items to set to posts.count, so we may see how many posts do we have. And we should see 17, but not just yet. Well, we do have these, but we still need to, well, let's go further and add our posts. Well, the structures, what do we have in our images? And as you can see, we don't have our image added. And that is because now we need to add our image UI image view to our cell. So let's go ahead and create here our let's construct it and let image view equals UI image view, and let's return it. Let's return our image view. Okay, and let's set our content mode to scale aspect fill. Okay, and finally in our setup views overridden file, let's add our subview image view, and then let's anchor it, well, to the four sides of our cell. So image view dot, and we have a convenience method inside LBTAComponents that says fill superview. Okay, and so we may see this. I will just I will remove this red and maybe add it a light gray. Okay, let's build and run and see light gray, and see if we actually do get to see those images. And we don't see those images, and that is because we need to add our images inside our UI image view. So to do that, we have here a call inside our data source cell, and that is a data source item. And when we set our item, when we set our item, we can call upon this image that we have in our post. So first of all, we need to unwrap this post, but before we do that, I believe we need something else. Yeah, we user profile data source cell, that should be it. So let's have here a guard let statement. It seems kind of black magic, but now we can access our image view here. So image view dot image equals to our post. Well, let's construct a UI image here, UI image, and with a name, UI image named, and here I will just name this. Now let's build and run again and see what happens. And as you can see, we still don't have them. And I believe that is because we need to reload our collection view. So I will just pass on here in our fetch post. And I will just pass in here self. And let's just make this fetch post in CollectionViewController. I will just simply copy out this and paste it in here. Controller with a double L, not double O. And that will be of UI. Well, let's have this DatasourceController. Okay, and now after we have appended all the posts, let's just build here. Let me just type out this. It's much easier in self. Okay, yeah, that is how it should be. So now we need to reload our data. So what we want to do is CollectionViewController, CollectionView, and reload data. Let's see if we do get those cells, and I believe we are missing out on some points here, and that is why we are not. And the first is that we need to provide our item in our data source. So type in item, and we will return from our posts array at our index path dot item. So let's build and run again and see how that looks. There you go, we have all of our images, and as you can see we have 17 images. Pretty good stuff. Now we want to create the images, well, let's say squared images for a starter. And for that, let me just go into our DatasourceController and override collection view size for item at index, and we will return here CG size, and we will use this one with the width and height. And for the width, I will create here let width, and it will be our let's say views dot frame dot width. Okay, and I will just add here our width, and the height should be the same. So let's build and run again and see how that looks. There you have it. We have all of these squared images. Good stuff. Now, what I want to do next is have these 3 images in a row. So for that we will create here our view frame width. We need to, well, let me just type this out first, and I will explain after that. We will need to subtract 2 pixels because I want 1 pixel indentation, well, between those images, and then of course we divide it by 3. So let's build and run, and hopefully we will not get what we actually want. You see, we have these 2 rows, and that is because we need to override 2 things here. So collection view minimum line spacing for section, and we will return here 1, and the second one is the collection view inter-item spacing. Yeah, those are a mouthful, so I needed to a little bit think about that. So we will add 1 there too. So let's build and run now, and let's see how that looks. Okay, pretty good stuff, just what I wanted, and we are nearly going to our completion of today's lesson. Before we do that, let's add our navigation items title. So we go here and set our navigation item title equals LBTAComponents magic. Okay, that's one thing. Let me just build and run. And now we want to build out that logic when we tap on this one of our cells, we want to have them go to our next view, and be shown the whole image. Okay, and for that, first of all, we will create a new file that will hold this new controller, and let it be, and this will be a simple UI control or UIView controller. So I will just import UIKit, create our class here, and let's name it appropriately a large image controller, and it will be a UIView controller. Let's add our view did load here, super dot view did load. Okay, and let's add our views. Now we have our large image controller. Now let's go back to user profile data source, and here we need to override our collection views did select item at index. So did select item at index path. So here we first of all, let's create our large image controller. So okay, and now we need to push it from our navigation controller. So navigation controller push view controller and a large image controller with animation set to true. Okay, let's build and run and see how that looks. And we should get those purple images here. Okay, we do have them. Now we for the last component of this episode, let's add our images to be shown inside our large image controller. First of all, let's create our image view here. So okay, let's return our image view here. Okay, and of course, well, we don't need to specify our content mode. And now in our view did load, let's create our setup views. Well, let's call our setup views that we will create here. And this can be, of course, a file private function. And it will be a setup views. And I will just simply add this as a sub view to our view. So add sub view and image view, and of course I will just anchor it as a well, fill as a super view. So let's say image view dot fill. Oh, we need to import first of all, let's import LBTAComponents, and I believe we are ready to use. Let's build. Oh, I have missed here UIImageView. I am really hurrying here to make this work, but I need to take care. Fill super view. Okay, now if we run, we don't have any changes, so we need to feed this controller with the tabbed image. So to get that image, we need to create here a variable. Let's say image name, and it will be of type string, and it is an optional. And now when we and then we need to have here, I believe, let's set our image views. Well, let's wait for this. First of all, let us just add this image name inside our user profile data source controller when we tap into our navigation controller. And for that, we need to somehow add here large image controller dot image. Let us just build and have this image name, and that will be our image name. But what is this image name? Well, it is our posts. It can be found in our post, But for that, we need to access it via our user profile data source.posts. And now I will select my index path.row, and then we can access our image name. A pretty long way to go, but that is how you can grab your image name. Okay, and now finally we need to add this, and now we need to load our image. So let's go back here, and first of all let's create, and it will be of type string, and we will use our image view.image equals to UI image, and we will construct it with the named one and named. Okay, and we will call this load image upon our view did load, after we have set up the views. So let's load image with our image name. Okay, now let's build and run, and we have here, yeah, we have our optional. So I will just, well, maybe add this. So here we have an optional. So what I will do here is let this name be an optional, and I will just guard let unwrap this, and that should take care of that. Now let's build and run with Command B and see our beautiful grid, and with Command R, let's build and run. Build has succeeded, but we didn't run. And let's tap on any of these. Okay, pretty good stuff. Okay, I really like this. Okay, let's stop for now, and in the next episode I will show you how you can add headers and footers into your LBTAComponents UI collection view. It is a much better collection view, an easier way to set up your collection view. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends, and of course subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so, and if you haven't tapped on the bell notification, do so to get notified when new videos are added to the channel. So as usual, I will see you in the next one.